Welcome to the evil that lives inside this residence podcast. And I am joined by my brother,
Clayton, Sire, Captain Subblade X,
and his friend,
Seabass from the Dead Zone podcast.
And we are here to talk about
Resident Evil 3 Remake.
So, before I think we should start talking about the remake. I think we should talk about the original, our first experience. I know Seabass don't really got much, if anything at all, but me and you definitely have a lot of experience. You want me to go first?
Go ahead, man.
Okay, well, obviously our dad, he had it, but never really seen that one get played, which he says that was his least favorite, so that's probably why. But I always remember seeing the case and just being terrified of this big motherfucker who's on it, but really after that, I didn't really discover it until I bought it for the GameCube, which actually is the first Resident Evil game I ever bought, and the first one that I beat entirely on my own, which is pretty exciting, I guess. I beat Resident Evil 2 first, but I had help. This one I beat on my own, and I don't know where I'd put it in a list of favorites. It's probably in my top 5. You already know what my first one is. It'll always be the OG Resident Evil 2, and then probably my second favorite is Resident Evil 4. I know it's not the best Resident Evil game, but it's just, I, for whatever reason, always keep going back to it. But yeah, the original definitely always made me shit my pants because this big ass motherfucker won't stop chasing you. And that's kind of some of my first, just to get it going. So what's your thoughts?
Oh man, my opinion, when I was playing Resident Evil 3 for the longest time, I honestly thought that Resident Evil 2 was better, but Resident Evil 3 brought a whole new... I'm trying to think of a word to explain it. It's like, it was a whole new world and meaning to survival. It was definitely harder, but it was easy at the same time if you knew how to play it and stuff like that. But honestly, Resident Evil 2 is my all-time favorite, but 3 definitely has a special place in my heart. Because I love that it followed the storyline and that it was just, my opinion, it was a great game.
Well, see, I know a lot of people why some people actually love it more for this reason or hate it more for this reason, but is because it was more action oriented. Also, them giving you the option to kind of just start off with a shit ton of guns, shit ton of ammo,
right.
Which almost makes sense in a way, because if you play it that way, it only makes sense. She's a special operative. Shouldn't she have all this shit? It does make sense, or at least access.
See, when I first played Resident Evil 3, like when they introduced gunpowder and all that, I felt like Claire would actually know how to utilize that because of her expertise. Yes, my bad.
No, you're good.
But anyway, she knew how to utilize that because of her expertise and training, and as she was in the stars and all that. But it was great.
Yeah, I did like it. Did bring a lot more flavor to it. Definitely more stuff to do, but it's weird. I feel like it was a lot shorter, even though really you can speedrun them in about the same time.
Right. I'll be honest with you here. The only time that I have actually did a speed run in any of the classic Resident Evil games and got a good grade was Resident Evil 2 without infinite ammo. Resident Evil 3, for some reason, I could not do without infinite ammo because in certain parts of the boss battles, especially the worm and
the 3 or just the mercenaries.
No, you have to in Resident Evil 3. You had to The only way you could get the infinite guns in Mercenaries is when you played Mercenaries.
Okay.
My bad.
Well, that's what I thought, because I remember
That was the only way you could get infinite
when I played the
ammos.
GameCube version, that's how I got the infinite submachine gun and Gatling gun, and then lost my save.
See, what I did was whenever I beat it for the first time on hard, I did it without infinite ammo, and I genuinely had the greatest fucking time of my life.
But
My apologies.
no, you're fine.
But it was, I had the best time of my life with those. But playing Mercenaries at first, it was really difficult, but once I figured out how to get where the survivors were and all that you could rescue, it got easier. Because I got to the point where I was getting I could get maybe 1,200 points. It's been a while since I played it, but I think my top score was 4,568, I think, was saving all the rescuers with Mikhail and doing everything that you could do in Mercenaries and then finishing it. I think that was my best score, and I got so much money that in one run I had enough money to buy the infinite assault rifle on Resident Evil 3.
Yeah, I know as far as I got was the assault rifle infinite and the Gatling gun infinite, because I was like, oh, I gotta have those too. But other than that, that's as far as I got. But really, I played it to a point. I probably beat it maybe twice, maybe 3 times on the GameCube, and that was it until about maybe 2 years ago. So I'm checking out this nice video game cleavage.
Right.
But until about 2-3 years ago, I didn't really play it anymore. It's weird because I never go back and play that one, even though it's not my least favorite. It's actually one of the most memorable to me.
Same here.
For good and bad. I mean, there's parts of it that I absolutely hate. Water puzzle.
When I played Resident Evil 3 the first time, I played it on easy just to get my bearings on how to play it, really, because when I bought it on PS3, I didn't really play it at all. I just watched you play it when we were younger.
Right.
And when I finally played it, I had a difficult time playing through just on easy. And then when I beat it through the first time on easy, I instantly switched and played it on hard and deleted my easy save. So I'd have my hard save where I could actually unlock stuff. And it was just it was a lot of fun. I genuinely had fun running through the game and just playing it. Okay. But it was a lot of fun for me. I'm not gonna lie. I loved playing that game through, but I ain't gonna lie. When I beat it the first time on hard with no infinite ammo, I was like, damn, that was genuinely fun, hard, and challenging all at the same time, but it was fun. But when I beat it the first time, I was like, I'm in love. When I beat it on easy, I was instantly in love with Resident Evil 3. Now, what I hope they bring with Resident Evil...
We'll get to that in a segment. What we want to see and stuff.
I'm getting ahead.
Yeah. Basically, just any last thoughts on the original and stuff is basically what I'm getting at. But, yeah, I wish I would have had the experience to play it on a hard, which might as well just be normal difficulty.
Yeah, because that's all it was when you played it on hard, you didn't start out with the assault rifle and you
didn't
couldn't
start
get
out with
ammo for
anything.
it. You just started out with the pistol and the knife, that was it. But actually, no, I think the knife was in the item box.
Right. Which is fine, but I wish I would have, but I never did. But I will say, if you just only played easy and then tried to finally play hard, you just made it feel 5 times harder on yourself.
Honestly, when I played Resident Evil 3 first on easy, I didn't really notice a difference because I only used excuse me, I'm sorry. I have the hiccups. But anyway, when I played Resident Evil 3 the first time, I played it on easy, like I said, and I used the assault rifle only on Nemesis. That was the only time I used it. But I played it through one time with only using the basic guns, and no infinite ammo, and I was only able to beat it one time on hard without using the infinite ammo, and I killed Nemesis every time I seen him, but ooh, I had to run past most of the zombies just to be able to do that. But by the time I got to the end, I had so many good stuff from killing Nemesis, it was like the game was OP at that point, you know? But I had a lot of fun playing it though, regardless.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I have the original trilogy I'm not included. Well, yeah, I mean, okay. If you want to say
What's your opinion on what you've seen from the trailer of the remake of Resident Evil 3 Sebastian?
We're still an original, that's the problem.
I mean, it looks good. I've never got the chance to play the originals, but I did play 5, 6, 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, and I believe Operation Raccoon City.
Oh, you played the shit out of those in our youth.
Yeah, we beat the shit out of those. It looks good, and once it comes out, I'll try and get it, because I never got the chance to play the original, and I don't think I have the system for it. But it definitely looks good, and Nemesis, compared to what he used to look like, is a definite upgrade, and he looks much scarier than he used to.
No, I think the only thing I was going to say left about the original is, shit, I forgot, but
I definitely feel like
oh, that's what I was getting at. I mean, I remember now. I would definitely say, like, out of the original 3, it'd be my second, because the first one, I get it, it's the one that started it all, but it's not the best. Definitely the most outdated. But, oh, that, you didn't know you could do that?
No, I didn't know you could move 2 of them at once.
Yeah,
like,
you can get it all started, so all you gotta do is put it in and then move this one more time. And
well, crap, that explains why so many times I got my butt whooped by Mr. X whenever I'm trying to move those, so I'd forget when I was doing my speed runs for this.
But,
yeah.
it's cool. But definitely Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is my second favorite from the original trilogies. Obviously 2 is first. I'm never going to be able to deny that. I'm sorry. But give me just a second. You can share any thoughts left about the original while I do this. Sorry.
My opinion with the original is, like, I genuinely thought, even though I was like 19 when I actually started fully playing Resident Evil 3 on the PS3 version when I bought it, it genuinely was scary for me. Like, there were some parts where, like, I was like scared. I was like, I would be sitting there thinking, it's like, is Nemesis gonna follow me? And stuff like that, and I was like, ooh. But every time I encountered Nemesis in Resident Evil 3, the original, when I first played it on hard, I was like, this is probably my favorite. Because it was so hard, and it was, like, it sticks so close to the survival aspect of, like, the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one to this day is probably one of my all-time favorite classic Resident Evil games. Because I played that game, that I beat it in 1 hour and 35 minutes without infinite ammo on Leon's A story on the PS3, but the PlayStation 1 game. But I just felt really accomplished about that, you know? It's like one of those games, it was like, that was really hard to do at that time, but it's like now it's like, okay, like, it's like, I can do that. But it's like, back at its time when it was around, that was a big accomplishment. Because I still remember to this day when I beat Resident Evil 2 and 3 and got like the special bonuses that you can unlock, like the infinite guns, like the SMG, the rocket launcher, the Gatling gun, and stuff like that. And 2, I was genuinely, I was happy with myself that I had unlocked those. And I was like, I wish I could be good at every game like that, but for me to get that good at that game, I had to play through it so many times without like any cheats, or, well, not really cheats, because in the third one they didn't have any cheats. but it was genuinely fun for me. I had a ball the whole time I played Resident Evil 3. I'm not going to lie. The whole time I played Resident Evil 3, I had fun. Even with infinite ammo and all that nonsense, but it was fun.
Well, I guess now that we've kind of overshared our love and like for the original, I guess basically let's talk about the reaction from the trailer. For me, obviously, I already told you this before we started this, I am definitely hyped. I wasn't actually expecting to be this hyped for it because, like I said, Resident Evil 2 is my favorite, so obviously the remake I should be more hyped, but it was weird. When it came on, I know you didn't get to see it, but because I watched it live on a stream, but to sneak it on us like they did, you know, it was unexpected, so I think that's what helped boosted up the hype. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's hard to really know how it's gonna play out because it's only a trailer, and but obviously everything looks good. You know, I actually like pretty much. So let me start off with Jill.
Yeah.
Her new design, I'm fine with. I mean, yeah, they changed it up, but they made it more practical. It doesn't make sense why she'd wear a tube top and a fucking skirt to go fight.
I gotta put my input about this, but I feel like in the original Resident Evil 2, that would be just like the worst outfit to wear in the apocalypse. Because like
it would.
You'd have to worry about your skirt falling down, like your boobs falling out if you're a woman. But I'm just saying like I would genuinely, if I was in the apocalypse, I'd wear something that was comfortable, but yet compatible. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
something that I can move around in really comfortably and I could do really quick. That's just my opinion.
I mean, but, so I know a lot of people actually like her face model. I actually don't care for her face model.
Neither do I.
A lot of people that I've listened to online so far, they like it, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. For me, I'm not too crazy about it. But I don't think she looks bad either. Like, she looks generic, if that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way, definitely in a positive way.
My feeling is they made her look more masculine
Yeah, she has
than feminine.
Yeah,
that's my issue.
But, I mean, it's kind of true. She is a masculine woman.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So, it does make sense.
But you also gotta think is like with Stars, they never really explained what they did. But I mean, they did, but they didn't.
Right.
And it's like you don't know what they went through. You don't know what they were capable of.
I mean, they're basically like just a super like SWAT team, I guess. How a lot of people look at them. Shit! Oh my god! Well, I haven't been scared in this game in a while. God damn.
Did you poop your pants?
You fat mother want something to eat. Look, I know
Eat
my
some
kid.
lead.
But but yeah, definitely more practical. And I mean, it's still like this. She has the same colors. It's black and blue, and the haircut's still the same.
I like that they didn't change her too much. Like they didn't change them too much with this game, but I'm glad they did it. But it's like, I wish they would have kept a lot of the original character designs in the remakes. But I understand with the remake, they're supposed to, like, they want to try to change it a little bit, but it's like, sometimes with the classic feelings, it's like you want them to look the same just so you can feel that excitement that you had whenever you first played it.
On that, yeah, I understand that, but in reality, you want to change it up, make it look like more detailed, more modern a bit, maybe even. And a lot of people want it to be just slightly different. And the original is all in pixels, and there's probably some details they couldn't put in then that they can put in now. That's probably why they look different than all that.
Definitely one thing I hope to see in Resident Evil 3 Remake is more gun customization.
Well,
Not like customize to whatever you want it to look like, but like I mean like a stock for the shotgun,
Yeah, not something
stuff like that.
Call of Duty where you can change the entire gun.
Yeah, but like I'm not talking about like anything too advanced, but like somewhat to where like not necessarily change it like completely, but like a little bit.
but so the next character to talk about is Carlos, I guess. His look, like I said before this, I actually dig his look. I like it a lot. Some people don't, but I think it's more realistic. Now, I actually like the tactical aspect of it. I think is actually kind of spot on. And I mean, really, it's not going to be that much different than from how it would be anyway, because that's pretty much what he wore. It's just probably more realistic tactical gear he's wearing, but the main thing people will say about him is the hair. I think the hair is fine. It looks realistic. That's how his kind of ethnic group, I guess you would say, they do have hair like that. It does make sense.
Yeah.
And overall, he doesn't look cheesy. He actually looks kind of like a badass, which he's supposed to be.
Honestly, my opinion from like Resident Evil 3 to 2, like Carlos was one of the most badass motherfuckers that you knew.
But he was cheesy. He's like,
Yes.
I'm here to get the ladies.
Right, because he even says stuff about that in Resident Evil 3. He says all the chicks dig my looks.
Right.
And it's like, really, you're that cocky that you think all the ladies dig you?
Well, I mean, that was definitely part of his character, which they may or may not bring back, which I'm actually really wondering what they'll do. I mean, surely they gotta bring some element to that back. That's just... But,
Carlos, in my opinion, was one of my favorite characters other than Leon and Claire themselves. Carlos was one of my favorites because of how much of a badass
so I guess the next, and really, probably the biggest character of them all, which, I mean, to be fair, the original Resident Evil 3 was actually partly named from him. You know, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Yeah.
Which, that's weird too in a remake. If they don't call it that, it's just Resident Evil 3, not Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So I wonder if he'll be as big of a part to play because of it.
What I'm thinking is like I'm wondering if he's gonna actually have as many appearances as he had in the original game.
Right.
And I hope he does, but at the same time I don't, but I do. I really ultimately do hope he has as many appearances as he possibly can. Because he is all-time my favorite Resident Evil enemy of all time is Nemesis. I love him to death.
But, so his look, like I said, I'm not really a fan of it, but I do think how you said earlier, he does actually look more terrifying because before he just looked like a hodgepodge, like definitely made up, but he was scary looking. But in this, it actually looks well. The Resident Evil, the RE engine.
Yeah.
So how they do that is they actually photograph real things and then it gets converted into the game. That's why it makes this stuff look more realistic. So they have to actually find something to make a fucking monster out of to scan it in. So it actually, in a way, is more terrifying because it looks like skin just wrapped over. But the nose is one thing that I know a lot of people are like, you know, they're iffy on, because before, I mean, he had a nose, but it wasn't really a nose.
His face was mostly like, it was like blank, but I liked the tubes that they had going through his head because it made him look more scary.
Well, they still have the tubes. If you look at,
I know they do, but it's like it's not the same as it was, but it is still good, if you know what I mean.
If people speculate, because there's caution tape on this thing, a lot of people are speculating that that won't be there the whole time. It'll like rip off
See, that's one
when it
thing
gets
I wish they
damaged.
did. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead and talk as we go.
What I'm saying is, like, in Resident Evil 3 remake, or not remake, but the original, I know they really couldn't do it because of the graphic systems they had at the time. I wish, if you defeated him each time when you did, if you did defeat him each time, I wish, like, the next time you fight him, he looked more beat up, more damaged as you went through the game. One of my things that I'm hoping they show in the new Resident Evil 3 remake is that if you do decide to fight Nemesis and you actually defeat him, like he drops to his knees, I hope that the next time you fight him, he looks more beat up, you know?
Yeah.
That way it actually looks more realistic. Like, one thing I was like thinking when I played Resident Evil 3 the first time I actually defeat Nemesis without infinite ammo each time I was sitting there thinking, I was like, that'd be cool if they actually showed him more damaged, more beat up, and like made him harder as you go.
Well, with the new one, they can definitely do that, and back to the thing about the tubes and shit, it makes sense in the new one. They can actually now make it more detailed, make it more reasonable of why there's tubes. Like, he's got skin that's attached, but at the same time not, fluids going through him to try and keep him alive and moving. And so if you were to implement a system where every time you beat him, he gets more beat up, eventually those tubes might break off or get torn up, and the harder he gets is probably because of the lack of fluids he has. And they can make the fluids, even if that's what's in them, a sort of stabilizer to try and control him, and the less he has, the more uncontrollable and chaotic he becomes, instead of more docile.
Also, the thing too is, I don't know if you noticed in the trailer, but he has this thing over his heart, like a lot of the other, basically, you know, the tyrants do in all the games, which he is a form of a tyrant. He's just the most efficient version of the tyrant there was up until that point. And, you know, people think, well, that's probably, you get him out of that vest and expose it to him and then he'll be vulnerable.
Yeah. There was one idea I had when I first played it, but I wasn't. Like, Nemesis was a failed program that they sent into Raccoon City just to eliminate what was left of humankind in Raccoon City, so they didn't have any evidence left behind to link them to the outbreak.
Well, it's always hard to say if that's what it was, because in the grand scheme of things, if that was true, it makes zero fucking sense, because they blow the damn place up anyway.
But see, the thing is, I feel like they wanted to test him to see if their failed experiment was actually useful.
Well, it was definitely a test. Definitely, you know, how good is he in the battlefield? I mean, that's the point of these things.
I definitely feel that in the original games, like 1, 2, and 3, I feel like those were all test experiments to see how like zombies, like their BOWs, how they would act in the field of battle.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what it was. And then like 5, 4, and 6 was like when they fully released it and seen what happened.
Well, then what would Resident Evil Revelations and 2 be? Would that just be a side person who came up with their own sort of virus?
I don't know. I was always confused about Revelations 2 and 1. I mean, with Revelations 2, I'm more experienced than Revelations 1, because I got Revelations 2 Platinum, but not the first one, because the first one was, like, really increasingly hard.
How it is. I'm further than you, and it was a pain in the butt.
I did one on the PS3. It was hard.
Actually. Go this way. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, his look, I don't dig it, but it is kind of terrifying in a way, just because it's so... You could almost see it being a thing, which is even more terrifying. If I had to imagine a real Nemesis coming through, like, the fucking doors, I know people say, oh, you'd shit yourself. No, I think a turd would be crowning my ass.
Like, if I was in that situation, my opinion is, like, I would instantly have a heart attack as soon as I see Nemesis, because, like, I get scared really easily, but it's
Well,
like...
also, in that case, it doesn't help because you, like, play the game, so of course you know. But you know there is nothing you can do. There is fucking nothing you can do. You're fucked.
Definitely with Resident Evil 3, if you didn't know what you were doing when you fought Nemesis each time, you were definitely going to die. My opinion.
But I guess kind of switch up the segments, move it on. That way I don't drag. But basically, what we want to see in the remake, let's see, give me a second.
Well, since you were thinking about that, one of my things I want to really see in the remake of Resident Evil 3 is the Mercenaries mode. I really hope that it's not necessarily the same way as the original one's Mercenaries was, but I hope it's something similar. Like, it's like a survival mode, like you're killing enemies to get time, stuff like that. And save people to get more time. But definitely one thing I would like to see is like an entirely different mode on its own, where it was like survival, but you had a time limit, and you just kept saving random survivors that were through the game. Like actual characters that you've seen in Resident Evil 3. Like the guy at the beginning that talks about his daughter getting eaten alive, and he's seen it, and he locks himself in that trailer thing. I would definitely love to see something like that, because when I first played the Mercenaries mode, it was hard, but once I figured it out, I loved it. It was fun.
I definitely wanted to come back. Mercenary mode is a staple in Resident Evil games. Hell, they had a Resident Evil game that was nothing but
Mercenaries mode.
So to say that it's not important would be stupid, because
Right.
It is important. The problem is, and I can see this, and I'm gonna get to a certain section and I'll let you take it.
Okay.
The problem is, I can see them doing, since they said when you buy Resident Evil 3, Resistance is included. The problem I see with that, I could see if it's actually not comes with it, but if it's a mode that's within Resident Evil 3, then I definitely don't think we will get a Mercenaries. I think that's their
if they do
their replacement. I really do. I
Yeah.
hope not. I really want Mercenaries. But I could definitely see it being the case.
My thing is, I would be perfectly okay with them replacing Mercenaries mode with the Resident Evil,
Resistance.
yeah, Resistance. I'd be okay with them replacing that so you had something to play co-op or something to play with friends. But it would be cool if they had both of them, to where like you had something like Mercenaries on your own, and then you had Project Resistance, which you can play with your friends. That way you play an actual Resident Evil game with more than just one friend.
Well, like the problems I see having, so Resident Evil 3 Remake was obviously made alongside with Resident Evil 2 Remake. I told you stuff has came out and they said that
Goodness gracious, the accuracy is terrible with that guy.
they were going through them. I don't know why, but anyway, they said they originally planned to release Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake together, which kind of makes sense, but for Capcom it actually makes zero sense, because that's less money they're gonna make. Because now that they do 3, they can build the hype for 3, and that gets more. If you just done it together, then that's only a one-time deal. If you separate it, but my problem is, if Resident Evil Resistance is a whole separate game, and 3, and Resident Evil 2, that is a lot of people to be working on stuff. I don't see them
doing that.
all of that at once.
See, the way I was hoping it was going to go was that Resident Evil Resistance was going to have its own game that was like possibly online only. I'd have hated that, but it would have been cool. But and then Resident Evil 3 Remake would have been a game that's on its own.
Well, that's the other thing too, is because I heard. Sorry. You can play it single player. So that's the weird thing. So does that mean you just play it offline if you want?
Can you even play Resistance on your own? Or do you have to have people?
That's what I heard. I heard you can play it on your own, but it ain't confirmed. But that's what's kind of going around, that you can. But now it's really weird to even know, because it's just everything's at once. But definitely Resident Evil 3.
Zombies and all that.
Resident Evil 3 definitely needs more playability, because that's what the remake that the people who will be watching this on the screen, and it's the replayability, which is ironic because I am playing it now, but you get my drift.
The one thing I am really hoping that when Resident Evil 3 comes out, I hope they follow the storyline as much as they can, but I hope they don't change as much as they possibly can, because that kind of gets annoying.
Well, I think
Sorry, go ahead.
I think they'll probably do what they did in this, where a lot of things does happen, but it doesn't happen how it happened. They like switch around when it happened or this.
Definitely, and this is just my opinion because I like.
The orphanage.
But one thing I definitely want to see, but I know they'll never do, is just like a split screen co-op of the entire campaign of Zombie or Resident Evil. I was hoping they would do it with this, but I know they couldn't because Resident Evil. What's the name of the Wii version that they?
Umbrella Chronicles.
Yeah, Umbrella Chronicles. I was hoping they could do something like that to where you could play together, but I know it would mess up the story a lot if they were together at the same time the whole time.
They gave us what-if scenarios for this game,
and that's what I feel like Umbrella, but Dark Side Chronicles was a what-if story.
Well, Dark Side Chronicles was a retelling, so it did happen, but you know, it wasn't. You know. But they could have definitely made a co-op just retelling.
I just have a soft spot for co-op games, and I would just love I would just love a classic Resident Evil co-op game, like Resident Evil 2. If they could make that co-op somehow, the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 1, if they could make that co-op somehow, I love co-op games, but that would just make it perfect for me, but it would fuck up the story real bad, in my opinion. I like it though. I don't really care much for playing games by myself, certain games, but I like playing games co-op. It brings a whole new factor to the game of like survival and zombie scenarios, you know?
It does, but it also ruins it too.
Yes, it does.
The whole point is to feel alone. You don't have anybody. There's nobody for you to run.
There's nobody for you to rely on. You have to rely on yourself and what you find. But I really wish they would make a Resident Evil game that was based solely on co-op play. Like, if you didn't play co-op, it didn't make sense. I'm a big co-op person. I like playing games where the stories merged with two people. I just have been like that my entire life.
But I definitely don't. I get what you're saying, and like if Resident Evil Resistance is part of 3, actually a part of it, like in the actual game itself, then I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that being co-op, but I definitely don't want Resident Evil 3 to be co-op.
Yeah. I know they couldn't do it with this game, but I would have loved like a survival co-op aspect, like the No Way Out scenario. I would have loved if they would have made that to where you could play 2 players.
Yeah, see, that makes more sense.
Honestly, if they could have made that the No Way Out scenario where you play 2 players, I would have loved that. But increased it to where it was like, you know how when you play by yourself it's only 100 that you have to get to? But like if you're playing 2 players, like it'd be 200 that you had to get to. I would have loved that.
But I definitely want to see is not even more of like Carlos, but I definitely think they should have their own campaigns.
Oh yes, definitely. I feel like once you beat, like, when you play the game through the first time, you should only be able to play as Joe, but as soon as you beat the game, you should have an umbrella side where you play as Carlos the whole game. That's
it don't have to be given to you from the get-go, but I definitely do want it at some point.
Or if they didn't do that to where, like, it was part of the original game, where, like, where they released the DLC to where, like, it was a whole entirely another game where it's based entirely on Carlos's point of view, you know? I feel like that would have been kind of cool.
But I want to see the ammo making return. It doesn't have to be from 2. It could be its own new thing, but definitely at return.
One thing that I definitely hope they carry over from this game is the gunpowder type. I felt that was so much easier than the classic Resident Evil 3's gunpowder. I didn't really understand the classic Resident Evil 3's gunpowder combinations. Like, you know how like you had to have like 3 or I think it was 2 C's to make magnum ammo? But this one was so much easier with the gunpowder combinations. I liked this one's combinations with the gunpowder. Cause like, when I made them, I knew exactly what I wanted to make. Because when I played through this game, the only gun type of ammo that I made was acid ammo for Claire's. Because I mostly played Claire's story. I only played Leon's story like maybe just to get plus, or not plus, but like the S rank and then the hardcore run. Those were the only times I played as Leon, but most of the time I played as Claire. Because I felt that it was easier. Now, puzzles with Claire, I feel, are a little bit more difficult, especially with the doll trophy, or, excuse me, the doll puzzle, where you had to push like, when you gave you the blocks and all that. Oh my goodness. When I did that trophy for where it was you had to do that in under a minute, I failed that so many times, it was not funny. I was laughing at my own failure when I did that. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed at my own failure. Because I'd be sitting there going like, oh, I'm almost so close to being done with it, and then I fail it because I didn't do it fast enough. And I'd be like, oh gosh darn. But this game genuinely gave me a whole new look at horror survival. No. It's kind of like most games nowadays, but it really did bring to the table its own kind of survival. But it's hard to explain it, but it really did. When I played this game, even when I had already beaten it, I was genuinely scared whenever I played through it. It was like, I can't explain it. It was like, every time I played this game, I played through it again, but it was like, it was fun each time I did it, because it was like, ooh, this is new. Like, I'm so used to playing like through the original game and all that, but it's like, this game definitely brought new survival tactics to the table.
Die, bitch.
Right, it's like, if you don't have the rocket launcher, it's like, who really fights him if you don't have infinite ammo? I mean, other than people who, like, get scared in the moment and they fight him because they're scared. That's like,
Well, it's all about fight or flight. That's what's.
oh yes, definitely. Especially in hardcore mode, if you don't have like the infinite samurai edge or anything like that, it's definitely fight or flight moments through the whole game.
But let's see. So yeah, I definitely want 2 campaigns, which I think they're probably gonna go down that road. They might not.
If they do that, what I feel like it's gonna be is like Claire's story will be the longer one, and then Carlos will be like.
Why do you keep saying Claire? Claire is not in 3.
Good Lord, man! I need to go to the hospital.
You've had too much.
Yeah, I've had too many to sip on. But anyway, like, I feel like Jill's scenario would be longer, and then Carlos's would be shorter. Like how Bay's scenario is longer and the B scenario is shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely like to see a Claire, or good Lord, I need to help, a Carlos story for his own benefit.
But yeah, definitely see. So, Mercenaries, the store, the 2 campaigns, ammo creation comeback. Definitely more variety of weapons I want to see. This one I did feel I have a variety, but the problem is they left a lot out. That's the other thing. I want them not to. I understand you can't put everything into it, which is fine.
The one gun I wish they would have added into this game, but they didn't, was the crossbow. I genuinely love the crossbow in the original games. I used that more than the pistol when I had the ammo for it, you know.
Also, the thing is, I wonder too, which, I mean, I don't mind if we see or don't see, but if you choose to fight Nemesis, if that's even a thing, does it actually go down, or is it going to be like how they did with Mr. X in this one, where he never truly goes down, which would be even more fucking terrifying, because that motherfucker don't walk, he runs.
One thing I definitely want to, I'm unsure about, but I hope they do, how in the original game when you defeated Nemesis multiple times in hard mode, you got gun upgrades, first aid, 3 kit sprays, all that stuff. I hope they bring something like that if you defeat Nemesis, like it gave you bonuses, like more ammo capacity or something like that, or new guns to make them stronger, stuff like that. I really hope they add something like that, but I highly doubt it. Because with this game, they could have, but they didn't. That was my biggest bet. There was so much potential that Resident Evil 2 Remake could have had, but they didn't.
Shit, I forgot, you can't get to the box on this one. In hers.
What box?
That's in that room.
Oh yeah.
Because I would have not picked up all this stuff. But
is your inventory full?
Pretty much. It's fine.
Hold on, let me see your inventory for a few more seconds. No, you can't get rid of nothing.
Yeah.
I'd get rid of that single herb.
That's fine.
Since you have the rocket launcher, I really don't feel like you'll ever have to really heal unless you get grabbed by like the running spark.
Oh, I've already fucked up a few times this playthrough for a goddamn reason. It's fine, ain't no big deal.
Right, it's not like we're going for
Hey,
nothing.
Mr. X. Bye-bye.
What? Come on, there you
He goes out on one, but it's because I was...
I've always wondered if, like, Mr. X, like, when you played in this game, like, if you had the rocket launcher, I wonder if, like, you could knock him down so many times, and after so many times, he'd actually stay down and not ever get back up until, like, later in the game.
It's already been proven. He never stays down.
That's what makes it scary on it. Honestly, in the Resident Evil 2 Remake, the sound of his footsteps is what scared me the most. Because I used to play this game when I first got it, well, borrowed it, really. The scariest part of the game was whenever I played the B scenario and Mr. X was through the whole game and you heard his footsteps and the music that it played. I loved it. It genuinely terrified me. Yeah. Like, I was on my edge the whole time. Because I remember there was one time when I played this, I was playing on hardcore, And it scared me so bad because I was so scared of dying and have to go so far back in the game that I was literally almost crying. So I was like, please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Sorry.
You're fine.
But anyway, it's like, it was genuinely scary and I loved it. Resident Evil games, in my opinion, haven't been that scary in a very long time.
It is scary, but the other
Not
thing
what it
is
used
too,
to be.
like I said, you can't make. Problem is, Nemesis ain't like Mr. X. He fucking runs. He has way more abilities. I mean, he can tentacle fuck you. He can punch you, which Mr. X could too. I get that. He's got a fucking rocket launcher because, you know, he runs.
One thing I wish they would have shown in the original game, and I would be kind of cool if they incorporated into the new game, you know, because whenever Nemesis in the original game would grab you and then you would instantly die if you were already in danger or something, and like he would shove his tentacle into your mouth or something. I wish it like showed Jill as a zombified, like she'd actually get up and walk around as a zombie or something. I feel that would be something cool that they would add into the game, just to see what it would look like, you know. I can't see. I see
But, what else was I saying? It's a problem when you do these intoxicated kids. You forget what you're gonna say.
Right. One thing I definitely want to see, but I know they'll never do because I'm a big co-op freak. I love any game that has
I know
co-op.
you already talked about it.
Right, it's like I can't stop talking about it. It's like I would love a completely full co-op classic Resident Evil game. That'd be my dream.
The problem with that is, though, it can't work.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't. That's the fact that you're alone.
But that's what made it so scary. Was that you were alone. Genuinely, when I played Resident Evil 2 for the first time on PS3, I was genuinely scared the whole game. Because I was like, oh man, there's something in there. I need to take my time. I'm like, I'm scared what's in there, you know?
Damn it. I gotta go the long way.
But there's so many things that I wish to see in the remake of Resident Evil 3, but I know we're not going to see.
Like?
Okay, again, co-op aspect of something, even if it was just Mercenaries co-op, I would love that. But I get that they want to do just a single player thing, but it's just I would love something.
Or you make it unlockable.
Yeah, like when you.
But it still take away from it, because then people just find a way.
Because you remember how in some games where like it was you played through it once and then it allowed a duplicate character to play as a second player once you beat it the first time, then you could play through the game co-op, but you were the same person. That's something I wish they would have done with this game, but I understand why they didn't. You know.
So in a sense, you're like in Resident Evil 6's Ada's story where you play as Ada and then there's a random soldier alongside.
Yes, thank you. Because when Resident Evil 6 first came out, there was no co-op for Ada's story at all. And then they just randomly added our agent to Ada's story. I love that. But it didn't make sense with this character though. But if you're playing by yourself, it made sense. But if you're playing with co-op, it didn't make sense. But I liked it that they made it where if you were wanting to play it with a friend, you could.
Another thing about 6 is in Jake's story, I believe that's his name, there's a creature that constantly follows you, and it kind of reminds me of Nemesis.
Yeah,
he does not die.
The Uber Stank. He basically is a... Watch
Stank.
out. Oops.
He's practically a
Nemesis ripoff.
Nemesis.
Used to tank.
Yeah.
That's what I always call or you stank. That's what me and him used to call him all the time. Oh no, it's the you stank.
Oh no, you stink.
Really? I went through the door.
No, get back in that room.
Are we seriously already that far into the game?
Yeah, I told you I can speak on this part pretty well.
No, the Houston tank definitely was like Nemesis, but not as terrifying.
Definitely.
The sixth one definitely had a lot more action packed, and I know 3 didn't have as crazy action packed as 6. And Jake also was technically as strong as the Houston tank because you use him in near the end of his story to kick the shit out of the
Overpower the Houston tank.
Yeah.
But the thing is, since he was Wesker's son, I think that's why he had all those overpowering
Yeah, that's why
abilities.
he had all
Yeah.
those abilities to do that. Because he was Wesker's son.
We're getting off topic.
Definitely
Yeah,
off topic. You know what I definitely don't want to fucking see? I've already mentioned it. The goddamn water puzzle. That
Oh my God. It wasn't even that hard, but if you didn't know what you were doing, it was difficult.
But it was
Because
also, it was
But-
random. It's not like you could watch a guide. It
Yes,
was
you could.
random. You could watch multiple guides to figure out which path the pattern would be. But even still,
They'll probably at the end, they'll either leave the
well,
same
they can do
difficulty
it.
or change
But,
the difficulty.
Please change the answer to the puzzle. I feel like that was more of like, it was difficult for you because of how you work. I didn't find it was that hard. The hardest puzzle I had was the water puzzle, where you had to do the water samples.
That's what I just said. That's what I'm talking about, the water puzzle. The water sampling.
Whenever you say water, I think of the water in the park. Whenever you leave that whatever that big building is in Resident Evil 3, whenever the helicopter
The clock
crashes
tower.
and you fight Nemesis and you get infected with Jill
The
and you
clock
play as
tower.
clock tower. I always think of that part when you
No,
say
I mean the water
puzzle.
sampling. That is the most.
Because it's random each time you play the
That's
game.
what I was saying. It's random. You can't.
The fastest I have ever solved that puzzle is like 5 minutes. But the thing is, I had all the answers to every different puzzle into that part, all the different solutions it could be.
Mm-hmm.
I had them all pulled up, so I did it real quick. But it was genuinely, when I first played it the first time, it was genuinely one of the hardest puzzles I have ever done in any Resident Evil game.
Also, the thing is too talking about the weapons and like stuff we actually want to see, but like the areas, like I definitely want the hospital to return.
Oh yes.
The clock tower definitely. Obviously, the RPD is going to be it. We've seen it in the trailer.
You fondle
It
you.
sucks for us to miss
Aha, you pissed me with the rockets. I shall hit you now.
this. No shit. He's like, bitch, did you just try and find that? I mean, that is not going to work. But
There was one time when I played this through the first time, I took him down with just the pistol, and I was like, did I really just waste all my ammo on him just so I can get past him, or should I just have just ran past him and taken a few bits of damage, you know?
Well, clearly you thought wasting ammo was a better option.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you watched me play most of this game whenever I had it.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing, this is a big thing that actually just him and coming in here made me remember one thing. So, if they make Nemesis like Mr. X, where he's always following you, let's
Yeah.
say you can even though like kill him. Well,
I wish when he...
Here, just let me finish this.
Sorry.
You talk. Let's say you can do that, right?
Yeah.
Even if you can't, but then eventually, like let's say 10, 20 minutes later, he'll come back.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready
They
to say.
better. Well, I hate it. I know it makes it more scary, but it's not even really scary.
It's just more of a
annoying.
nuisance.
Please make it. If there's a puzzle in the room that they can
Don't think it's where Nemesis can come in while you're doing the puzzle.
It's so. I mean, and Nemesis is going to be worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it just that. Oh my god, I hated that.
There was one puzzle in Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil 3, I can't remember which one it was, but there's one puzzle that you could do in the RPD, and Nemesis could come in while you're doing the puzzle. It was in the, what's the locker room? It's not the locker room, but it's where you get the Stars key in Resident Evil 3, so you can get in the Stars